Today we're going to take another look at a state for 2024, and this time that's going to be Virginia. It's not really a swing state anymore, and it's not expected to be competitive, but we're going to see how this once red state turned solidly blue. First, on the left side, we've got the presidential changes between 2012 and 2016. That was the election that had a lot of right shifts across the country. Specific to Virginia, especially the western part of the state, that also has a lot of quick rightward moving lines. But it's a different story if you look at the right map. Those are the shifts between 16 and 20. The blue lines easily drown out any red that there might be in Virginia. So how did we get here? For that, we're going to go back in time and start with a little bit of recent history. So if we jump back 3 elections to 2012, there we could see Barack Obama won the state with 51%. Mitt Romney was not too far behind. He got over 47. That was narrower than his first win, but at this point, Romney had not completely written off the state. It was potentially competitive. Now let's go in a little bit closer on this county map. So here we've got the counties on the top and the 2012 margins on the bottom. And we can see there's a ton of red counties on here. Some of them are lighter red, but a lot of them are already darker red. That means Romney is already hitting 60 or even 70% in those counties. But Virginia is a state that has independent cities in addition to their counties. On the bottom map, those are also shaded accordingly. They're separate from the counties. And if you want to know which city is which, you can match them up with the numbers on the top. So this is kind of a tale of two states. The western part of the state is much more rural. There's mountains. It ironically might have a lot more in common with its neighbor, West Virginia. So outside of a few of the independent cities, those counties are already deep red. Now parts of southern, eastern, and northern Virginia, that's where a lot of the population lives, and that's where much of the blue vote is. You might hear a lot about Northern Virginia, or NOVA for short. That's going to have extremely blue areas that are right outside of Washington, D.C. Some of those places include Arlington, Fairfax, Loudoun, and Prince George's County. So at this point, those are already blue areas, but they're still a little bit on the lighter side. Now a little bit more toward the center of the state, you have the capital of Richmond. That's its own independent city, and that is already dark blue. Now, outside of that, you have the Richmond suburbs. You have Henrico County to the north and Chesterfield to the south. So there's some good population there. One of those is blue, one of those is red. And another region of the state you might frequently hear about is going to be the Hampton Roads area. That's in this part of the state. And a couple population heavy spots to take a look at are going to be at the border with North Carolina. We've got Virginia Beach and Chesapeake. They look like counties, but they're technically independent cities. In this election, Romney carried Virginia Beach and Obama narrowly carried Chesapeake. So with some of those counties out of the way, let's jump ahead 4 more years to 2016 and see what happened. This time, Hillary Clinton wins the state with under 50% of the vote. She's at 49.8. That's more than 5 points better than Donald Trump's total of 44.4. This time, we've got a lot of third-party vote led by Gary Johnson with 3%. So this time, Hillary did about 1.5 points worse than Obama, and Trump did almost 3 points worse than Romney. So let's look at a few of the densely populated counties. All the way into Nova, you have Arlington County. Hillary Clinton at almost 76% there. A little bit farther out, you have Fairfax. Hillary still wins it overwhelmingly, but she's down to 64%. South of that, in Prince William, Hillary again with a strong win, but she's at 58%. And then in Loudoun County, it's another easy double-digit win for Hillary as she pulls in 55%. If we go to the Richmond area in Henrico County, Hillary winning that by over 20 points. South to Chesterfield, Trump is able to hang on here. He wins it by only 2 points. In Hampton Roads, if we take a look at Virginia Beach, Trump winning it by about a 3.5 point margin. If we look at Chesapeake, Trump was actually able to win and flip it this time. He got it by just over 1 point. Now, if you head out west, then you're really going to start to head into Trump country. There's a lot less people here, but Trump starts to win many of these counties easily with 70% of the vote. Some of them he even tops out at 80. So let's jump ahead to the last election in 2020. In that one, Biden easily wins the state. He gets it by a 10-point margin. It's 54.1 for Biden, 44 for Trump. This time, the third-party vote is all the way down to Joe Jorgensen, leading it with 1.5%. So this time, Biden does even better than Obama did in his first win in 2008. At the same time, Trump does worse than McCain did in the same election. So on the surface, that might seem tough to accept. Obama was a transformational candidate. But apparently the Trump brand did not work in this election, and Biden had even more success than Obama. Now we'll look at some of these shifts in just a minute, but if we go down here, we can sort by the total number of votes cast. And this has the independent cities as well as the counties. And as you can see, Joe Biden won the top 13 most populous, and he was even able to flip 4 of those places. There were a few in single digits, but a lot of them were by gigantic margins. The most populous place that Trump was able to win is Spotsylvania, and he got that by 7 points. So let's go through some more of these shifts and trends. For that, we're going to get on Ballotpedia. Now this time the shading does not represent the margins. So this will show you the county shifts. It does not show you the independent cities. So we can't take a look at Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, Arlington, etc. But we can start in Arlington County. And this goes back to 2008. You can see Obama got about 70% both times. Then Hillary bumps it up by about 5 points. Then Biden bumps it up by another 5. Meanwhile, Trump maintains about a 10-point reduction over McCain and Romney. South in Prince William County, this county was stagnant for the Democrats from 2008 to 16. Then in 20, Biden bumped it up significantly. Meanwhile, Trump's support is down to the mid-30s. About Loudoun County, it follows a similar pattern. Biden's doing 10 points better than Obama did in 12, while Trump is doing about 10 points worse than Romney. If we go to the Richmond area, Henrico County follows yet another similar trend. Hillary did better than Obama, Biden did much better than Hillary. Trump here down under 35%. South in Chesterfield County, this is one that Trump actually won by 2 points in 16, but the next election it flipped and Biden won it by over 6.5. The most populous county that Trump won in 2020 was Spotsylvania. If you look at those trends, you can see it's voting pretty much in line with where it was all the way back in 2008, but a significant reduction from where it was in 2016. Again, we can't take a look at most of the Hampton Roads area because most of those are independent cities. But if you head out west, you're going to see where Trump starts to dominate. Now, some of these lighter populated counties had Biden doing better than Hillary, others he did worse than Hillary. But either way, Trump is easily winning many of these counties with 70 to 80% of the vote. The only problem is once you add all that up, there's no way it's able to compete with Northern Virginia. Now, if you want another way to look at some of this data, we can get on this 2016 map here, and this will show you the vote share on a precinct level. You can start off hovering over the counties, and if we pull in on Nova, you can see it's right next to Washington, D.C., where those precincts are almost unanimous in their support for Hillary. But on the Virginia side, once you get into Alexandria and Fairfax, then Hillary is still winning every one of these precincts by massive margins. But there Trump at least gets into the 20s, it even hits 30 in some places. Once you get way outside these suburbs, then you start to see some red. There's just less of it, and it's a lot lighter shade of red. You could do the same thing for the rest of the state. Again, Western Virginia is significantly redder, much more in common with West Virginia. The eastern part of the state has deep blue Richmond, and then the Hampton Roads area does have a mix of red and blue. And normally I also pull up the 2020 map and I show you the changes between 16 and 20. On New York Times, the data is just not available for Virginia for whatever reason, so we're not going to take a look at that this time. But we can take a look at the shifts with the red and the blue arrows if we get on this map here. These are the changes between 16 and 20 on a presidential level. And as you can see, it's a mix of red and blue arrows, but the blue arrows are much bigger than the red arrows. That means it's a bigger shift. So you can click on any one of these counties to get some more detail. Let's go right in the middle of the state and look at the most populous county that Trump won last time. So here in Spotsylvania, both Biden and Trump gained raw vote total over 2016. But Biden gained more than twice the amount. He was over 10,000 while Trump was under 5,000. And the other significant factor in this election was the reduction in third-party vote. Here it decreased by more than half, all the way down to just 2.1%. And throughout all the shifts in this county, Biden went up 6.9% while Trump went down 3%. So the reduction in third-party vote between 16 and 20, that is a big factor, and Biden was the bigger beneficiary. So you can do the same thing for any one of these other counties and take a look at the shifts and the data. Now, another thing that could matter is going to be the turnout. So here's a map of the turnout changes between 16 and 20. And like with many places in the country, the turnout went way up. Virginia is no exception. The majority of counties did have a double-digit increase. That could be another factor to consider. But turnout overall is not the only thing. The turnout with specific demographics is another factor. If you look at this table, this has the exit polling from 2020, and it breaks it down by different demographics. You've got age, sex, race, religion, and it also shows you how all those subgroups shifted over 2016. So what about specific to Virginia? Here's the exit polling data where you can see Biden and Trump did their best and their worst. So Trump has a few strengths, but it's not really that close. Biden dominated most of these groups. Generally, what we've seen under Donald Trump is higher educated and higher income voters. They've moved hard away from the Republicans and toward the Democrats. So if you want to get a better sense of the educational breakdown, this map shows you which counties have attained a bachelor's degree or higher. Nationally, it's around the mid-30s, but the darker counties are all above 30%, and Northern Virginia is known for being very highly educated and very high income. If you go to those places, Arlington County has an astonishing 76% that have attained a bachelor's degree or higher. So that is way up there, but even outside of that in Fairfax, it's not that much lower, it's in the 60s. And it's similar for most of this Nova area. So these are the kinds of places that are repulsed by Donald Trump. The western part of the state is repulsed by Biden, but it's just a simple case of being vastly outnumbered by many of these blue counties. Now, if you want another quick way way to take a look at the trends in Northern Virginia. This has the presidential elections between 2000 and 2016. Back when Bush and Gore ran, there was actually a lot of red on this map. But as you go through subsequent elections, the red gets lighter, the blue gets darker, and everything flips to a dark blue by 2016. Now, the last thing we're going to do is take a look at the polling accuracy back in 2020. So there, Biden won the state by just over 10 points. The aggregate polling had him up by almost 12. So it's ultimately inconsequential, and it wasn't a significant miss, but it did slightly overestimate Biden. So what is the conclusion for Virginia and its 13 electoral votes? Well, this is a state that has come a long way from being solidly Republican not that long ago. And now that it's gotten to a double-digit margin for Biden last time, it looks like the days of it being a swing state are going to fade even further into the past. Now, Trump should be able to get this under a 10-point margin this time, but his brand has just become too toxic for the voters in that state. There's a lot of dark red there, but there's just a lot of blue that's become much more darker to cancel out that red. Now, there's a couple of bright spots for the Republicans. Back in 2021, they did elect a Republican governor in Glenn Youngkin, as well as a lieutenant governor and attorney general. But the Democrats have held the 2 U.S. Senate seats for quite a while now. The State House and Senate have gone back and forth over the past 5 to 10 years, but now are currently narrowly controlled by Democrats. A lot of voters are going to look at Northern Virginia and just think all those D.C. suburbs are part of the swamp. There's a lot of great things and rich history about this state, but for the time being, I think at best, this would be considered a purple state. So that's an overview of the recent political history for Virginia. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about this state? Are you surprised by how far toward the left it's gone over the past couple of decades? Is there any hope here that it gets competitive, or is this one going to be completely in the bag for Biden? Let me know your thoughts down below. On your way out, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join if you'd like to support the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.